Nicolle Wallace from MSNBC is wrong again, this time when she's talking about trade negotiations and tariffs between the U.S. and China. Take a listen.
As for China, which is subject to a 145% tariff, Trump says, well, now they're negotiating. Watch.
We are going to have a fair deal with China. It's going to be fair.
Are you talking to them actively now?
Actively. Everything's active. Everybody wants to be a part of what we're doing.
The Chinese government says no, not active. Quote, China and the U.S. have not engaged in any consultations or negotiations regarding tariffs, let alone reached an agreement, end quote. Adding that while China is open to talks, quote, if it's a fight, we will fight till the end. Confronted with China pouring cold water on Donald Trump's version of reality, Trump said this.
A question on China. Can you clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China? They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is.
They just doesn't include China and the U.S., according to China.
The same day she got that so wrong, this report came out with Gordon Chang talking about very specific conversations and progress the U.S. is making with China, to include China backing up on the tariff of different American products. Take a listen.
These reports suggest that China exempted some products from the 125% tariffs. I mean, is this a sign that China blinked?
I think it's a sign that China certainly needs U.S. products. I mean, certainly when you talk about semiconductors, industrial chemicals, aviation products, these are things that China needs in order to export its products. So I think it's finding that when you have an export-dependent economy, it's not very good retaliating against the United States, because that's the source of stuff that you can't get elsewhere. So yes, China did blink.
You know, Stephen, what's the purpose between the back and forth about whether they're even talking or not? I'm not sure what. I mean, China will lie just about anything, but why lie about this?
Well, this is political theater, and that's basically what the Communist Party of China does first and foremost before every other piece of substance. But now she has called, admitted they are, in fact, in talks, which everyone kind of knew, and so here we are.
So while they're talking, China is also issuing warnings to other countries not to team up with the U.S. in tariffs on China. Gordon, I mean, how do you expect this? I mean, President Trump is trying to isolate China from the world, and China is hoping it doesn't work.
Yes, and if the Trump administration is able to stitch up deals with Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, European Union, Italy, it will isolate China. The United States is, I think, in the process of telling countries that either they're with us or against us. And although their trade relationships with China may be greater than their trade relationships with us, they need us for security. So, for instance, Japan. The Chinese are trying to break apart Japan. And so ultimately, Tokyo has to go with the U.S. rather than with Beijing. And I think the Trump administration is starting to make that point, because that is going to be critical. The Chinese believe that you shouldn't stovepipe anything. You shouldn't try to keep trade away from geopolitical issues. I think the United States needs to adopt that position and start playing some hardball with our trading partners.
Yeah, Stephen, I mean, how much more can China take? And we've already seen that Apple says they're going to move manufacturing of all U.S. iPhones from China to India. We see that India, Japan, and others are lining up to possibly be the first big trade deal that Trump signs. It seems like China's losing this war pretty early on.
Well, the communist leadership, I don't think, is representing the interests of its people. China is doing a fantastic job of isolating itself. I mean, when they go out and try to say that they're a good neighbor and they're trying to uphold free trade while they're sort of transferring their trade deficit to third countries so they take heat from America on negotiations, those receiving countries like Vietnam and others, they know what's going on, and they don't think that China is a good neighbor. So I think that the best position the United States is in is these great deals that they're working on with Japan, Korea, Taiwan, India, others. Those positives put us in the best possible point of leverage to get China to negotiate better terms. But really, it's up to Xi. Is he going to be serious and lead his country? So far, his answer is escalation and conflict.
Yeah, Gordon, finally in the last 30 seconds, we've got the president's going to be in Rome. He's getting ready to leave here shortly. He's got a lot of meetings set up with world leaders. I know that President Xi's not going to be there, but China's apparently going to send a delegation. Is this a missed opportunity for them to have at least had some sideline conversations with the president and get and have direct one-on-one talks?
Oh, it's certainly a missed opportunity because every time that we talk to other countries, we get an opportunity, especially if China's not in the room. So, yes, I think this is a very big mistake on the part of the Chinese not to go to Pope Francis's funeral.
So despite what Nicolle Wallace says, the U.S. and China are talking on trade, and China blinked. They're backpedaling on tariffs, which is a fantastic thing. But you got to thank Nicolle Wallace, the useful idiot, because at least she gives us a good reason to laugh at some point during the day. Nicolle Wallace, wrong again. As always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.